The Japanese eat eggs almost every day. They also eat natto, a fermented soybean dish that many Westerners are still unfamiliar with. But what's surprising is that despite not avoiding cholesterol, they have significantly lower rates of heart attacks and strokes compared to Americans. So where's the secret? Could the combination of eggs and natto help lower blood fats, clean the arteries, and prevent cardiovascular events if you're over 50? This video will show you what most people don't know: how to eat eggs and natto to support heart health, manage blood pressure, reduce inflammation, and avoid common mistakes that can turn a healthy meal into a harmful one. We'll walk you through everything step by step, from the science behind it, the correct way to prepare it, the right time to eat it, to a simple 7-day meal plan and small tips to help you stick with it without getting bored. If you've ever been worried about cholesterol or thought natto was only for Asians, it's time to take another look. So the question is, can eggs and natto, when combined the right way, become one of the most effective natural strategies to prevent stroke in middle age? A heart attack, also known as myocardial infarction, happens when blood flow to part of the heart is suddenly blocked, cutting off oxygen and causing heart muscle tissue to begin dying. The most common cause is the rupture of a plaque buildup inside the coronary arteries, which leads to the formation of a blood clot that blocks the flow. A stroke, on the other hand, usually results from a blockage or rupture in the blood vessels of the brain. There are two main types: ischemic stroke and hemorrhagic stroke. Whether it's the heart or the brain, both events stem from damage to the blood vessel walls, chronic inflammation, and long-term lipid metabolism issues. After age 50, these risks rise quickly due to natural aging of the arteries, reduced elasticity, unstable blood pressure, and hormonal shifts. That's why many people who once considered themselves healthy are surprised during a routine checkup to discover severe arterial plaque buildup or uncontrolled high blood pressure. On top of that, silent risk factors like high blood sugar, abdominal fat, high cholesterol, chronic low-grade inflammation, and decades of poor dietary habits can damage the blood vessels gradually without clear warning signs. According to the CDC, each year in the United States, there are over 800,000 cases of heart attack and nearly 800,000 cases of stroke. Nearly 80% of these are directly linked to diet and lifestyle. For people over 50, vascular damage is often difficult to fully reverse after a cardiovascular event, which makes prevention absolutely critical. This is where supportive foods like eggs and natto become important when used correctly. These two foods not only help manage blood lipids, but also may support softening of plaque, reduce inflammation, and improve circulation, benefits that few natural foods offer. However, to get these effects, it's essential to understand how they work, eat them the right way, and stay consistent over time. Eggs have long been misunderstood among older adults, especially in the United States, where they've often been linked to cholesterol and heart disease risk. However, modern medical research has shown that when used properly, eggs are not only harmless, but can actually be a powerful food to support heart health.
First, it's important to clarify that egg yolks do contain cholesterol. However, this type of dietary cholesterol does not significantly raise blood cholesterol levels in most healthy adults. In fact, eggs are a rich source of choline, an essential nutrient that helps with fat metabolism and lowers levels of homocysteine, a well-known risk factor for cardiovascular disease. In addition to choline, egg yolks are loaded with vitamin D, vitamin B12, selenium, and two key antioxidants, lutein and zeaxanthin. These nutrients help reduce systemic inflammation, protect the endothelial lining of blood vessels, and improve circulation. Lutein, in particular, supports not only eye health, but also reduces the oxidation of LDL cholesterol, a critical step in the development of arterial plaque. However, the key factor is how the eggs are prepared. When eggs are fried at high temperatures, browned at the edges, or cooked in industrial vegetable oils, the cholesterol in the yolk becomes oxidized into oxysterols. These altered cholesterol compounds are inflammatory, damage the artery lining, and contribute to plaque buildup. So the problem isn't the egg itself, it's how you cook it. If you're used to eating fried eggs with crispy edges, served with bacon, processed cheese, and white bread, you're starting your day with a meal that silently damages your blood vessels. On the other hand, if you prepare eggs using methods like soft boiling, steaming as in Japanese chawanmushi, poaching in hot water, or whisking into warm rice like the Japanese do, you preserve the full nutritional value and avoid harmful oxidation. This is the key difference between how eggs are treated in Japan versus the United States. It's the same food, but the preparation method determines whether it protects or harms your heart. Eggs also have a very low glycemic index, making them effective in helping regulate blood sugar and insulin levels, a critical factor for middle-aged adults at risk for type 2 diabetes. A European study found that people who ate 4 to 6 eggs per week, prepared properly and paired with the right foods, had significantly lower rates of cardiovascular events compared to those who ate fewer eggs but consumed them fried in oil or alongside processed foods. Another important point is that eggs help you feel full longer, which can reduce cravings for sweets and support weight control, a key factor in preventing stroke and heart attack. When eggs are combined with vegetables, whole grains, or fermented foods like natto, the cardiovascular benefits become even more pronounced by easing the burden on the liver, reducing the absorption of unhealthy fats, and boosting the body's natural anti-inflammatory response. In summary, eggs can be a natural health supplement if used properly. After age 50, when risks like arterial plaque, high blood pressure, and elevated cholesterol become more common, every choice at breakfast has a direct impact on heart health. Instead of avoiding eggs out of fear of cholesterol, it's more effective to learn how to use them the way the Japanese do: simple, minimally processed, properly combined, and consistently included in the diet. That's how you turn an ordinary egg into a daily tool for stroke prevention. If eggs are a rich source of choline, protein, and antioxidants that protect the vascular endothelium, then natto stands out for its ability to break down blood clots, prevent arterial blockages, and reduce the risk of stroke. In Japan, natto is considered an essential part of the daily diet, especially for older adults. While the strong smell and sticky texture of natto can be off-putting to many in the West, understanding how it works may help you see it as one of the most powerful natural tools for cardiovascular protection. The most important feature of natto is its high content of a potent enzyme called nattokinase. This enzyme is produced during the fermentation of soybeans by the Bacillus subtilis bacteria. Nattokinase helps dissolve fibrin, a protein involved in blood clot formation. If not broken down, these clots can travel to the brain and cause a stroke, or block a coronary artery and lead to a heart attack. Supplementing with nattokinase boosts the body's natural ability to dissolve clots, lowers blood viscosity, and improves circulation in small blood vessels. In addition, natto is an excellent source of vitamin K2, a key nutrient that helps redirect calcium away from artery walls and into bones where it belongs. This action helps reduce arterial calcification, one of the main causes of stiff arteries, high blood pressure, heart failure, and stroke in older adults. Vitamin K2 is notably lacking in most Western diets, and natto is the richest known natural source. Natto is also a live fermented food that contains beneficial probiotics. These healthy bacteria support gut health, enhance nutrient absorption, reduce systemic inflammation, and assist liver function, a critical factor in cholesterol metabolism. A healthy digestive system and a well-functioning liver contribute to better regulation of LDL and triglycerides. This is why many Japanese people eat natto in the morning, helping to stabilize vascular health throughout the day. Just like eggs, natto must be used correctly to retain its full medical benefits. The most important point is to avoid heating natto above 158 degrees Fahrenheit, 70 degrees C, as high temperatures will completely destroy nattokinase. Many people in the West buy natto, but then cook it in soup or fry it to make it more palatable, unknowingly eliminating its primary effect. The best way to consume natto is raw, at room temperature, mixed with low-sodium soy sauce, yellow mustard, green onions, or seaweed. If you want to combine it with rice, let the rice cool slightly before mixing in the natto. There is also an important medical note. Anyone taking blood thinners like warfarin should consult their doctor before consuming natto regularly, as vitamin K2 may interfere with the medication. Although K2 does not affect clotting as strongly as K1, consistent high daily intake still requires careful monitoring. Beyond nattokinase and K2, natto also provides fiber, plant-based protein, iron, magnesium, and beneficial digestive enzymes. This combination not only helps prevent stroke, but also supports blood pressure regulation, blood sugar control, and improved microcirculation. This is one of the reasons many Japanese people over 80 remain active, steady on their feet, and do not experience dizziness or fainting when changing positions. Their blood vessels remain flexible, their circulation stays strong, and they are not burdened by silent clots like many older Americans. In summary, natto is a highly effective food for cardiovascular prevention if used correctly and consistently. For people over 50, instead of waiting for a stroke or blockage to occur and then relying on medication, eating one serving of natto every morning may be a simple, safe, and effective way to protect your blood vessels starting today. Once you understand the individual cardiovascular benefits of eggs and natto, the next logical question is this: can combining the two create an even more powerful formula for vascular health? The answer is yes, but only if you know how to use them at the right time, prepare them correctly, and combine them in proper balance. Eggs and natto are not only traditional staples in the Japanese diet, but also biologically complementary foods. Together, they influence cholesterol metabolism, reduce vascular inflammation, and support the natural breakdown of blood clots. Eggs provide choline, lutein, vitamin D, and B12. Nutrients essential for fat metabolism in the liver, lowering blood homocysteine and supporting healthy endothelial function. Natto delivers nattokinase, an enzyme that helps dissolve fibrin, the protein structure of blood clots, and vitamin K2, which guides calcium away from artery walls. When eggs are properly boiled, steamed, or poached without oxidizing the cholesterol, and natto is consumed raw to preserve enzyme activity, this combination offers a complete meal with essential amino acids, digestive enzymes, antioxidants, and natural blood-thinning properties. One key point is that many Americans over 50 have elevated total cholesterol and high LDL, which increases the risk of plaque buildup. But focusing only on lowering cholesterol without addressing chronic inflammation or clot prevention still leaves you vulnerable to stroke. Combining eggs and natto the right way helps address all three issues: lowering inflammation, stabilizing blood lipids, and promoting better circulation. Additionally, egg yolks provide selenium and lutein to help stabilize endothelial cells, while nattokinase acts like a natural cleanser for your blood vessels. This level of benefit can't be achieved by eating only one of the two. Another important benefit is digestive support. Older adults often experience reduced enzyme activity, poor absorption, bloating, and gut issues. Natto, as a live fermented food rich in beneficial bacteria like Bacillus subtilis, helps increase digestive enzyme production and restore gut flora balance, indirectly supporting liver function and lipid metabolism. When combined with eggs, which are high in quality protein but harder to digest on their own, natto improves overall digestion and reduces the burden on the liver and pancreas. Beyond biology, this combination also makes practical sense. A serving of natto mixed with a raw beaten egg poured over hot rice, topped with low-sodium soy sauce and green onions, creates a traditional Japanese dish called tamago natto gohan. It's often referred to as the golden breakfast for older adults in Japan. For Americans who are not accustomed to eating raw eggs, a soft-boiled egg can be sliced and served with room-temperature natto. Both methods preserve the full nutritional value and maintain the activity of nattokinase. This combination also helps with calorie control. One egg contains about 70 calories, and a serving of natto has around 100. When paired with brown rice and vegetables, the total meal stays within 300 to 350 calories, making it ideal for adults over 50 who need to manage weight without sacrificing nutrition. A breakfast like this helps stabilize blood sugar, maintain steady energy levels, and reduce cravings throughout the day, all of which play a key role in managing blood lipids and lowering the risk of metabolic syndrome. In the long term, this pairing also supports vascular elasticity. Vitamin K2 in natto and lutein in eggs have both been shown to slow arterial stiffening and help maintain soft, flexible blood vessels. This is critical for preventing high blood pressure and heart failure caused by chronic atherosclerosis. Preserving vascular elasticity is a cornerstone in the prevention of both heart attack and stroke, which are commonly triggered by narrowed or ruptured vessels. In summary, eggs and natto not only complement each other nutritionally, but also work synergistically to protect the heart and brain's blood vessels. However, all of these benefits become meaningless if the foods are prepared incorrectly or not eaten regularly. In the next section, we'll cover the most common mistakes people make when eating eggs and natto that can completely cancel out their health benefits. Although eggs and natto are both highly beneficial for cardiovascular health, improper preparation or consumption can not only cancel out their benefits, but may also cause harm to your blood vessels, liver, and digestive system. This is especially important for people over 50, as small daily mistakes can accumulate into serious health risks over months or years. The first common mistake is frying eggs at high heat, allowing the whites and yolks to brown or burn. When eggs are overcooked or added to oil that is already smoking hot, the cholesterol in the yolk becomes oxidized, forming harmful compounds called oxysterols. These oxidized cholesterol particles are known to trigger inflammation in blood vessels, damage the inner lining, endothelium, and accelerate plaque formation. Studies have shown that people who frequently eat over-fried eggs have a higher risk of cardiovascular disease compared to those who eat boiled or steamed eggs. Additionally, using reused cooking oil or industrial vegetable oils increases trans fat intake, a harmful type of fat proven to be more damaging to heart health than cholesterol itself. The second mistake is overheating natto or reheating it improperly. The enzyme nattokinase in natto is highly sensitive to heat and loses its activity when exposed to temperatures above 158 degrees Fahrenheit or 70 Celsius. This means if you mix natto into steaming hot rice, microwave it, or cook it in soup, you destroy the very component responsible for breaking down blood clots. Without this enzyme, natto loses its unique cardiovascular benefits and becomes nutritionally similar to regular soybeans.
The third mistake is consuming pre-packaged natto products that contain high amounts of salt or additives. Some industrial natto brands in the U.S. are heavily flavored with added seasoning, preservatives, salt, or sugar to match Western tastes. These products often lack live probiotics and active enzymes, and regular consumption may raise blood pressure due to excessive sodium content. When purchasing natto, look for unseasoned versions with clear labeling, stored in refrigeration, not frozen, and preferably with instructions that emphasize maintaining live cultures and proper handling. These common mistakes, if repeated daily, can quietly undermine your efforts to support heart health. In the next section, we'll show you exactly how to prepare and combine eggs and natto properly to maximize their cardiovascular benefits. The next mistake is consuming raw eggs that are not properly handled or eating too many eggs in a short period of time. While it's true that some traditional Japanese dishes include raw eggs, this practice is only safe when using fresh, sanitary, and properly sourced eggs. For older adults with weakened immune systems, eating raw eggs of unknown origin increases the risk of salmonella poisoning. Additionally, eating too many eggs at once, such as more than 3 per day for several weeks, can place strain on the liver, especially if the diet lacks enough vegetables and fiber to support proper digestion and nutrient balance. Another important but often overlooked mistake is combining eggs or natto with inflammatory foods such as bacon, sausages, processed cheese, refined bread, or sugary sauces. These items spike insulin levels and promote faster oxidation of LDL cholesterol, which cancels out the protective effects that eggs and natto can have on the blood vessels. For example, eating a boiled egg with white bread and cheddar cheese may seem harmless, but it turns a heart-friendly meal into one that increases your cardiovascular risk. Finally, a lack of consistency and impulsive changes without a clear plan often lead to poor results. Many people give up on eating natto after a few days because of its unfamiliar taste or texture. Others stop eating eggs after reading unverified information about cholesterol.
Making changes without understanding the underlying science or without tracking long-term progress prevents people from seeing the true benefits of these foods. In reality, improvements in blood vessels, inflammation, or blood pressure regulation usually take at least 4 to 6 weeks of consistent intake. In summary, to gain the full cardiovascular benefits of eggs and natto, it's critical to avoid these basic mistakes. Don't cook them the wrong way, don't combine them with processed or inflammatory foods, don't consume without proper understanding, and most importantly, don't give up too soon. In the next section, we'll walk you through the most effective way to combine eggs and natto so you can maximize their impact on vascular health without compromising their biological value. Combining eggs and natto the right way not only allows you to get the full biological benefits of both foods, but also ensures that heat-sensitive enzymes, vitamins, and nutrients remain intact during preparation. Especially for people over 50, it's not just about eating the right foods, but knowing when to eat them, how to cook them, and how to combine them to reduce the burden on the digestive system, liver, and blood vessels. Let's start with timing. The best time to eat eggs and natto is in the morning or at lunch. Morning is when your digestive system is most active, your liver functions efficiently, and your body's energy demand is high. A breakfast rich in choline from eggs and nattokinase from natto gives your circulation a strong start, helping to reduce blood viscosity, mildly prevent clotting, and stabilize blood pressure. For older adults with coronary artery disease or a history of stroke, supporting circulation early in the day can lower the risk of cardiovascular events, which are most likely to occur in the morning hours. When preparing eggs, prioritize soft-boiled or steamed methods. A soft-boiled egg keeps the yolk intact and prevents cholesterol oxidation. Another excellent method is steaming, such as the Japanese-style chawanmushi, which combines eggs with mushrooms, greens, and dashi broth for a soft, easy-to-digest dish. Completely avoid frying, especially with high-heat oils, as this oxidizes the cholesterol and increases oxidative stress on the liver. For natto, take it out of the refrigerator about 20 minutes before eating to bring it to room temperature and preserve enzyme activity. Stir it well with chopsticks about 30 to 50 times until it becomes stringy and fully fermented. Then add a small amount of low-sodium soy sauce and a touch of yellow mustard if desired. Do not mix natto with hot rice or eggs that are still steaming, as the heat will destroy the active enzymes. If you use rice, let it cool slightly before adding the natto on top. If combining with eggs, you can beat one raw egg into the well-stirred natto to create a smooth mixture and pour it over the rice. However, for those who are not comfortable with raw eggs, you can substitute with soft-boiled eggs, cut and served on top of the natto. You can also enjoy natto as a side dish, served alongside steamed vegetables, boiled root crops, and soft-boiled eggs. In main meals, just a small portion of natto with one properly prepared egg is enough to create a positive impact on your blood vessels. There's no need to consume natto more than twice a day, and it's generally unnecessary to eat more than 2 eggs daily unless directed by a nutritionist. To keep your meals interesting and appetizing, you can mix natto with avocado, dried seaweed, toasted sesame seeds, or thinly sliced cucumber. These additions increase fiber, enhance flavor, and make it easier to enjoy regularly. Eggs can also be paired with spinach, kale, or cooked tomatoes to boost lutein absorption, offering dual protection for your blood vessels by reducing internal inflammation and external oxidative stress. In short, the most effective combination is this: natto brought to room temperature, stirred well, eaten raw with soft-boiled eggs or lightly steamed chawanmushi, served with vegetables, slightly cooled rice, and mild seasonings. This method has been proven effective in the Japanese diet, helping people maintain clean arteries, stable blood pressure, and long life, even while eating eggs and natto every day. In the next section, you'll get a detailed 7-day meal plan using eggs and natto that's easy to follow and won't leave you feeling bored. Here is a 7-day meal plan combining eggs and natto to support heart health. Day 1. Breakfast includes a warm bowl of brown rice topped with 1 pack of natto stirred with low-sodium soy sauce and mustard, plus a soft-boiled or poached egg placed on top. Served with steamed vegetables like broccoli, carrots, and green beans, and a cup of unsweetened warm green tea. This meal delivers nattokinase, vitamin K2, choline, and fiber to support cholesterol metabolism. Day 2. Lunch includes a vegetable salad with spinach, cherry tomatoes, avocado, and red onion, served with a halved boiled egg and a portion of natto mixed with dried seaweed, toasted sesame seeds, and apple cider vinegar. Add 1 slice of lightly toasted whole grain rye bread. This antioxidant-rich meal helps reduce inflammation and protect blood vessel walls. Day 3. Breakfast features miso soup made with seaweed, silken tofu, and green onions, with a poached egg added directly into the soup. Served with a bowl of brown rice and a fresh pack of natto. Dessert includes 1 slice of grapefruit or a few slices of green apple. This meal helps cleanse the body, aid digestion, lower blood pressure, and stabilize blood sugar. Day 4. Lunch includes seaweed rice rolls filled with natto and a thin egg omelet, paired with a kale salad dressed in olive oil and apple cider vinegar, and a glass of unsweetened pomegranate juice. This meal supplies antioxidants and supports vascular elasticity. Day 5. Breakfast includes a bowl of oatmeal cooked in plant-based milk with chia seeds and walnuts, a medium-boiled egg, and a serving of fresh natto with raw greens like lettuce, perilla leaves, and scallions. This combination supports blood circulation, enhances memory, and delivers both choline and beneficial fermented enzymes. Day 6. Lunch features a bowl of rice noodles cooked with leafy greens, mushrooms, and a poached egg, served with a side of natto mixed with fresh seaweed. Dessert includes a few slices of white dragon fruit or kiwi. This light and easy-to-digest meal still provides ample enzymes, fiber, and vitamins. Day 7. Breakfast includes a warm bowl of barley or quinoa, served with a lightly pan-seared egg not overcooked or browned, and 1 pack of natto mixed with a teaspoon of sesame oil, toasted sesame seeds, and thin cucumber slices. Half an avocado is served on the side. This meal offers a balanced combination of protein, enzymes, vitamin K2, and healthy fats to support blood vessel repair and protection. To avoid meal fatigue, feel free to switch breakfast and lunch options throughout the week. If the smell of natto is too strong, try eating it with a few lemon slices, or leave it exposed to air for about 10 minutes before eating to reduce the fermented odor. The most important rule is to maintain proper preparation. Do not overfry the egg, do not heat the natto, and avoid pairing with heavily processed foods high in salt or sugar. You can also apply a few small tips to help maintain this habit long-term without getting bored. First, vary the preparation. Sometimes boil the egg, sometimes steam, poach, or make chawanmushi. Second, rotate the seasonings. Occasionally use soy sauce, other times apple cider vinegar, mustard, or lemon. Third, change the combinations. Eat with salad, rice, soup, or whole grain bread. This variety helps stimulate the palate and avoids monotony, which is especially important for older adults who need to maintain healthy eating habits over many years. Finally, remember that consistency matters more than intensity. Eating natto and eggs 5 to 6 days a week in small portions and properly prepared is enough to significantly support your cardiovascular system, reduce stroke risk, and protect your blood vessels throughout the aging process. Simple tips to maintain the habit without getting bored. Maintaining any dietary habit, no matter how beneficial, can become a challenge over time, especially for older adults. As we age, taste preferences shift, digestion becomes more sensitive, and it's easier to grow tired of repetitive meals. This is especially true for foods like eggs and natto, which have distinct smells, textures, and flavors unfamiliar to many in the Western world. However, when you learn how to refresh the eating experience and make your meals a positive part of a healthy lifestyle, consistency becomes both easier and more enjoyable. Here are a few simple yet powerful tips to help you eat eggs and natto regularly without getting bored. First, vary your preparation methods. Even if you're eating the same basic ingredients each day, changing how they're prepared can significantly alter the texture and feel of the meal. One day, try a soft-boiled egg. The next, a gently steamed Japanese-style egg custard. Follow that with a poached egg over steamed vegetables, then a chilled egg salad the next day. For natto, rotate between serving it with rice, salad, whole grain toast, or as a topping for a cold soup. Small changes in presentation can refresh your palate, even if the core ingredients stay the same. Second, make every meal a flavor experience. Spend a few extra moments customizing your natto with your favorite seasonings like low-sodium soy sauce, yellow mustard, apple cider vinegar, scallions, grated ginger, or seaweed. Change your combinations weekly to keep things interesting. With eggs, try subtle additions like cilantro, toasted garlic, sesame seeds, or a splash of olive oil for a fresh aroma without sacrificing heart health. Third, adjust the temperature of your food based on the season or how your body feels. On colder days, opt for warm dishes like steamed eggs, chawanmushi, or vegetable soups with poached eggs. During warmer weather, try chilled egg salads or natto paired with cool cucumber slices. Matching your meals to the weather helps your body receive them more comfortably, supporting long-term sustainability. Fourth, play with color and texture. Combine creamy natto, soft eggs, crisp greens, fresh veggies, and chewy whole grains in the same meal. A visually stimulating plate with a variety of textures makes your food more enjoyable and keeps it from feeling repetitive. The more natural colors you include in your meal, the more diverse and appealing it feels, even if the main ingredients remain eggs and natto. Finally, don't be too hard on yourself. If you miss a day or can't prepare your meal the right way, don't stress or give up the habit entirely. Think of this as a long-term journey. A few off days won't erase your progress. What matters most is that you return the next day with a light and flexible mindset, not pressure or guilt. In summary, maintaining the habit of eating eggs and natto doesn't have to be difficult when you know how to keep the experience fresh, set realistic goals, stay flexible with your body's needs, and avoid turning meals into a burden. In the next section, we'll cover important precautions for those with existing health conditions to ensure this heart-friendly habit remains completely safe. Special precautions for people with underlying health conditions. While eggs and natto are both highly nutritious and beneficial for heart health, they're not suitable for everyone without adjustments. People with conditions like high blood pressure, dyslipidemia, diabetes, liver disease, or those taking blood thinners should be especially mindful when incorporating these foods. Timing, portion size, and possible interactions with medication all matter. In some cases, clinical supervision may be necessary. The goal is to maximize benefits while maintaining absolute safety.
The first and most important caution involves natto and blood thinners. Natto contains a high amount of vitamin K2, which helps regulate calcium and plays a role in blood clotting. For individuals taking anticoagulant medications like warfarin or coumarin, consuming natto daily without monitoring blood clotting levels can interfere with the effectiveness of the medication and cause INR levels to fluctuate unpredictably. This does not mean people on warfarin must avoid natto completely, but they must consult their physician to determine the appropriate amount and frequency. In some cases, with a doctor's approval, natto may still be consumed in small, consistent amounts, but the medication dose must remain stable and INR levels should be checked regularly. Second, for people with liver disease or elevated liver enzymes, eating eggs requires close attention. Eggs are a rich source of protein and choline, both of which are beneficial for the liver under normal conditions. However, in cases of advanced fatty liver, chronic hepatitis, or cirrhosis, increased protein intake can put extra strain on the liver's metabolic function. The safest approach is to consume eggs boiled or steamed, not fried or combined with greasy foods. If liver function is compromised, limit intake to 1 egg per day and pair it with a variety of vegetables to support digestion and reduce liver overload. Third, for those with high LDL cholesterol or elevated triglycerides, eggs were once mistakenly blamed for raising blood fat levels. However, newer research shows that the cholesterol in eggs does not raise LDL in most people, and boiled or steamed eggs are generally safe as long as they are not eaten with saturated fats. That said, individuals with severe lipid disorders should limit egg intake to no more than 3 to 4 per week, focus on eating the whites or soft-boiled yolks, and completely avoid overcooked or fried eggs. Fourth, for those with chronic kidney disease or undergoing dialysis, daily protein intake must be tightly managed. Eggs and natto are both high-protein foods and must be counted toward the daily protein allowance. If protein intake exceeds what the kidneys can handle, waste products like urea and creatinine may build up, increasing the risk of fatigue, fluid retention, and further kidney damage. In these cases, consult a clinical nutritionist to determine a safe and personalized intake. Fifth, for older adults with digestive issues or bloating, it is best to start with a small portion of natto, such as half a serving per day. Natto is a fermented food and can cause discomfort if the gut microbiome is not yet adapted. Once tolerance improves, the amount can gradually be increased. Drinking warm water after meals and adding light physical activity, such as walking, can support digestion and reduce discomfort. It's also important to pay attention to product quality. Avoid buying frozen natto that has been thawed and refrozen multiple times, or natto that contains additives or artificial flavors. Always choose products from reputable suppliers with clear instructions and proper storage at temperatures below 50 degrees. For eggs, opt for organic varieties with antibiotic control, store them in the refrigerator, and use them within 7 days after removing them from the original packaging.
Finally, do not rush to the conclusion that eggs or natto are not right for you based only on how you feel during the first few days. The body needs time to adjust. If you experience discomfort after eating, monitor the response over at least 3 separate occasions, and keep track of symptoms such as bloating, stomach pain, allergic reactions, or diarrhea. Then consult with a nutrition specialist. In summary, eggs and natto offer significant cardiovascular benefits, but they should not be used mechanically or without thought. Understanding your own medical conditions, managing the intake carefully, choosing the right preparation methods, and consulting healthcare professionals when necessary will help you gain long-term benefits from these foods while ensuring maximum safety. If you're looking for a simple, natural, and sustainable way to support your heart, prevent stroke, and protect your blood vessels, eggs and natto are 2 foods you should start with today. No complicated recipes, no expensive supplements. Just 1 properly boiled egg, 1 serving of natto with active enzymes, and a few minutes a day to prepare. That's all it takes to help stabilize blood pressure, reduce vessel inflammation, dissolve blood clots, and naturally cleanse your arteries. To get the most out of it, remember these key points. Do not fry eggs at high heat. Do not overheat natto. Eat them at appropriate times of the day, and, most importantly, stay consistent. Eggs and natto won't transform your health in a few days, but with regular use over weeks or months, you'll start to notice real improvements. Your blood pressure may stabilize, digestion will feel lighter, and symptoms like fatigue or chest heaviness during activity may gradually disappear. The 7-day meal plan provided earlier is a practical, easy-to-follow guide that offers variety, balance, and scientific grounding. The added tips will help prevent boredom and keep your motivation high without added pressure. Most importantly, you now have all the information you need to adjust your intake based on your personal health status and avoid common mistakes others often make. If you found this content helpful, hit the follow button so you won't miss future in-depth videos on nutrition and heart health designed specifically for people over 50. And if you have your own recipes, experiences, or creative ways to enjoy eggs and natto, leave a comment below. We're always eager to learn from the community as we build a healthier, smarter, and more intentional lifestyle together.